Well, welcome to American Reversion. How are you all today? Special welcome to all the new people. We have a lot of new people joining us. Great to have you. If you would, make sure that you subscribe and make sure you're subscribed. They keep unsubscribing people from both of my channels. But do subscribe, hit the bell so that you hear every time that I come out with a new one, which pretty much is every day now here. Give it a thumbs up if you would. Leave a comment if you would, even if it's just a thumbs up or I agree, Steve, or whatever it is. They tell me that helps the algorithm to spread it and share the video. You can share all my videos. I have people ask me all the time, can I share this one, Steve? You can share all of my videos. That's why I put them out. I want people to hear them. We're trying to have an effect on this country, right? And we appreciate everything that you all do as a part of it too. So let's talk for a minute. Grab your rebellion to tyrants mug, is obedience to God mug, your American Reversion mug. And if you don't know where to get that, why not? Well, you can get them at the stonemont.us website, and it's one of our newer mugs. On the back is a quote out of the Declaration of Independence. Should I read it here before we get started? Boy, you can never read the Declaration too often, can you? It really helps to recenter you. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. And of course you have Thomas Jefferson on the back there. Well, we're dealing with an interesting situation, aren't we? We're dealing with a runaway government, a corrupt government that has gotten far afield from the original intent of the founders and from the constraints of the Constitution, which is supposed to be its restraining document, and certainly away from that spirit of the Declaration of Independence. But I know that spirit lives in the hearts of a lot of us, right? We don't want rebellion. We want a return to the way our country is supposed to run. James Madison said that if tyranny and oppression ever come to this land, it'll be in the form of fighting a foreign enemy. Well, we're about to see that again, I think. We've seen it in the past. We've seen it with the Selective Service Act put in to drum up a million American men to go over and fight Europe's war in 1917. We saw it in World War II to take millions more young American men and send them over. Oh, I know about Pearl Harbor, but do you know about Pearl Harbor? Okay. If you think that we had to go to war on that deal, do a little more studying. I'm not going to cover it right now. We saw it again in Korea, in Vietnam. Then they did away with the draft in 1975, I think it was. I was right at the tail end of that. They missed me. I've never been sorry that they missed me. And then 9/11. You see all that, the Selective Service, all those things back then, all of the government programs were ways to establish and exert more control over a larger segment of our society. So 9/11 came, and look what's happened to our civil liberties. The world is different now. If you remember, those of you who are old enough to remember pre-9/11 and then post-9/11, you remember how the world changed? How our very feeling of freedom changed? It did. Well, our country's in another self-imposed mess. Not that we did, but by our stupid and ignorant and corrupt leadership. And they need more control. And just as Madison warned us about, they're going to get us in a war fighting a foreign enemy. There's talk about reinstituting a draft. Whether they'll get that done or not, I am not a proponent of the draft. I'll make my feelings very clear on that. I used to be. Even when I was, looking to possibly get drafted, I said, well, it's my part, I'll do my part. My dad was drafted, fought in Europe, World War II. My granddad was drafted, fought in Europe, World War I. It's simply the way that things go. And then I started paying attention. And I started learning how corrupt our government was. And then when I learned that, it was kind of a shock, because I had been brought up, God bless America, land that I love. And, I was the one that got tears in my eyes when the Star-Spangled Banner played. But I started paying attention, and I saw the truth of the matter. And I saw how the American people were being played. And then it took me a long time to really accept that this was all being done on purpose, and that the American people were falling for it. The reason that we have so many problems in our country right now is, of course, you blame the criminal, right? I mean, blame the ones who cause these problems. But it's not just them. It's those of us, those of our neighbors, our fellow citizens, who will not stand up against it. Those who just say, well, it's none of my business, I don't want to pay attention, politics bores me, they're all crooked, they're all the same, they're all this and they're all that. You see, they're to blame. Who would you blame if somebody threw somebody else off a dock into the lake? The person couldn't swim and then ran off. And then the person is there thrashing around screaming for help, and there's somebody else standing there on the dock but won't help. And the person drowns. Which one do you blame? Well, you blame both, right? The solution to our problems, our many, many problems here, is citizen involvement. Oh, I know that there are all those who in their faux superiority and thinking they sound so smart, assure us that, well, they're all like, nothing can be done. You're so foolish to think that you can vote your way out of this. Just vote harder, right? And they denigrate the real efforts of people who care to turn the country around. There were people, I'm sure, that acted that way with the founders, right? You can imagine. I mean, they had to do their business in secret. They were so denigrated. But as a result, they brought us the greatest nation there's ever been, and once was. The thing that we can do, the thing that we have to do, is to have a greater effect, a greater impact on the world around us, the thoughts, the understandings of the people around us. We're coming into an election year, maybe the most important one in my lifetime. I know everyone, Sean Hannity says that every time. This is the most important election of my lifetime. I don't know that any of them have been, but I think this one is. Because I think that if the wrong people win this one, this country is over forever. At least the way that it was intended to be. I don't want that. I know you don't want that either. So what's the solution behind this? The solution is impact. The solution is influence. The solution is getting more and more of our people politically active. There are plenty of those people out there that love to wear the black t-shirts with the cool sayings, out of my cold, dead hands and all, most of whom would roll over like a little puppy if it ever came to that, okay? And let the man scratch their belly. The talkers rarely do. Very often the doers rarely talk, although I'm talking right now. But I'm not saying what I would do. What I'm saying that I'll do right now is try to influence people, to try to make people understand what's going on. And that's our collective responsibility. You know people that are on the edge, right? On the fence. Wishy-washy. Don't know which way to go. Those are the people who end up affecting our elections. Oh, I know all about but Steve, they cheat, whatever. But I've said this before. I used to tell my fighters, hey, if you're losing on points, you didn't beat his butt bad enough. Okay? Next time, knock him out or choke him out. And then you won't have to rely on incompetent judges or referees. Okay? There's no reason in the world that we should be losing to corrupt politicians. But the reason that we are is because not enough people in our country will stand up and become politically involved. They won't fight the political fight. Oh, they will assure you that when the time comes, they'll stand up and fight the real fight. Yeah, right. You ain't fooling me, and you ain't fooling anybody else. No. The time for resistance is now. The time for standing up and fighting a political fight is now. We have about 10 months to get something done in this country. And if not enough people get their heads screwed on right and stand up, not just vote, but try to have an effect on the people around them, we're going to lose. And we're going to lose this country forever. And there's no reason to. You know, what this reminds me of, a boat that's moored to the dock. And all of a sudden, the rope slips. And the rope comes loose, and we run out there and we grab it. But the current of the river is pulling it away, right? We're pulling it. We're trying to hold it back. And we see all of our friends up there, all of our fellow citizens, come here, help us. And they go, it's worthless. It's not, you'll never be able to do it. You'll never be able to do it. So they stand there watching the boat break loose and float down the river. When if they had come to help, we could have secured that boat. See, that's the thing. There are so many people out there that would be willing to hear the message, able to understand the message if it's presented right, and then willing to do something about it, perhaps. At least vote, at least influence their friends, maybe get groups together, push back against the communist propaganda that's being shoved down our throats every single day. There's enough people to do that, if they would do it. Our responsibility, since they won't do it in and of themselves, is to try to get them to do it. If we want to save the country, that's our fight now. It doesn't do any good to complain. It doesn't do any good to say, well, if it goes any farther, we're going to do something. You're right. That's like, knock that off my shoulder. Well, just a second. Knock that off my shoulder. Okay, that's what's going on. Okay. There's something interesting when I was looking into the Selective Service. This is a little bit different, but not necessarily. I was looking into the Selective Service system because I so much. It's like so many things. You think you know, and maybe you know most of it, but there are some things that you didn't know. And I was reminding myself, I kind of wanted to see at what points in our country's history they, ended up drafting people. Because they might start this war, where I started this video. They might start this war in order to reinstitute a draft. Now, Hondo Bob made a good point. He probably tried to explain that he doesn't think they could. Maybe he's right, but they might try anyway. But I'd forgotten about this. No, I just lied to you, and I didn't mean to. So it wasn't a lie, it was a mistake. I didn't know about this part. Let me read something to you. But keep that in mind, that they might start a war in order to re-implement a draft. Okay, they're coming after your kids. Under current law, all biological male U.S. citizens between 18 and 25 inclusive years of age are required to register within 30 days of their 18th birthdays. And I knew that part. And I disagree with that. I don't remember if I completed my thought or not. I used to agree with the draft. As I got smarter and older and started thinking about it, I no longer agree with it because there is an implied ownership of the individual by the government. Simple as that. And you can't own part of a person without owning that person. They have an ownership interest in the individual citizen. And that's wrong, because that's slavery. But Steve, don't you want to stand up and do your part for your country? I mean, that's what all the literature says. Stand up, boys. Do your part for your country. Well, I'll tell you what. If the war were right, if the war were necessary, if we were being attacked, I imagine they wouldn't have any problem getting enough people to fight, because people will fight for their homeland. But nobody wants to fight. People have to be forced. They have to be drug out of their house, drug out of their life, drug away from their family, away from their job, away from their future, sometimes away from their life, to go fight somebody else's war halfway around the damn world, to where they get killed, maimed, or otherwise screwed up, away from there. And now, hey, you guys who served in the military, believe me, you've got my 100% support. This isn't against the guys. And I understand also that the military can give great experiences and great opportunities, just like law enforcement. I chose to go to law enforcement because, I'll be honest, I didn't want to be away from home. I loved my life. I worked my job. I shot pool. I took my girlfriend out on Saturday nights and raced my hot rod on Friday nights. I had a wonderful life. I didn't look for adventure other than that. Okay. So I want to make that distinction. That for the guys who have served, or for whatever reason, excellent, great. We need that. We need good people serving in our military for the right reasons. And then, but they don't need to be screwed over either. They don't need to be screwed over by, a corrupt government sending them to do things they don't need to be doing. You all know how much that has happened, right? But let me get back to this, because I just wanted to interject that they may try to reinstitute a draft. But here's what I didn't know. In addition, certain categories of non-U.S. citizen biological men, I love that, biological men. I bet that was a recent inclusion in the wiki, don't you? Between 18 and 25 living in the United States must register, particularly permanent residents, now get this next, refugees, asylum seekers, and illegal immigrants. Did you know that? I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I find that very interesting. We wonder why they're letting in all these people over the border, right? Well, I mean, there's been a lot of conjecture. Well, we're not replacing ourselves quickly enough. We need more people in here working that can be paying into the Social Security system so that, oldsters like me can keep getting our checks. We need more workers because you can't get, American kids to work at McDonald's anymore. Now, there are those who will say how lazy American kids are, and that's not right. Many are. Many are. I won't argue that. Some of them are just hard. They are hard working as can be. And so we shouldn't, don't paint the whole generation with the same brush, just like the previous generation painted your generation, right? They did, right? Every generation has said the following generations are lazy and don't know anything. I mean, that's been going back to, Socrates? So we need American restaurants, contractors, building trades. They have needed people and couldn't get them. They fill their ranks with foreign workers. Now, I understand all the arguments there, so let's don't get into that argument. Yes, they depress wages. I don't believe that I don't think there should be anybody illegal in our country. I think there should be a narrow gate, everybody vetted, everybody checked out, everybody fully identified, assigned. We should know where they are every minute of their life for the next 10 years until we decide maybe we can offer them citizenship. Until that time, they work, they pay their taxes, they get arrested for anything beyond jaywalking, they're going back. They need to be model citizens for 10 years. And that's when they came legally. And then after that 10 years, if they commit a crime, they still go back. Okay, because they came to our country. And most countries are like that. Why aren't we? Because we've weakened our country. Our politicians, our policies have encouraged it. Our policies have encouraged corporations to become multinational and send manufacturing to China. It's all the policies of corrupt politicians who made a buck out of it. Okay? But getting back to this, if we need the illegals here to put roofs on our houses and landscape in our yard and flipping burgers at Mickey D's and paying into the Social Security system, under fake Social Security numbers, but still, we get the money, right? The government gets the money. Which, of course, they use as a big slush fund. The reason that Social Security is in danger of running out is not because there was too many people taking it, it's because they kept stealing money out of the trust fund and using it for other things as a way to hide the deficit. What a world we live in, or what a government. We ought to just start over. When you really start thinking about how stinking corrupt our government is, starting over. But anyway, maybe we need all these illegals to serve in our military, right? But how's that going to happen? Do you think that they are going to be sent over to fight the wars in, wherever? Poodle poop, wherever? No. It's going to be your sons and daughters and grandsons and granddaughters that are going to do that. Well, these illegal aliens are going to be brought into our systems, maybe into law enforcement. We've already seen places out in California commissioning illegal aliens, or saying that they're wanting to. Maybe that's the case. As commissioned law enforcement. And they will fill in the ranks, they will backfill the ranks of the military in case that military, they'll be offered National Guard. National Guard, we'll put you in the National Guard and you can stay here legally. Well, okay. Here's a rifle, here's your uniform, here's everything. Because the American people are getting antsy. And we just might need you to help us control them. The only chance we have at this point, if we don't want to go full bore beyond what we want to go, is winning this thing politically. And we can't do that unless we get more people involved. And in order to get them involved, we have to present the case to them. We have to make them understand how tenuous the future of our country really is. And convince them to stand up and grab their part of the rope that we're trying to hang on to and keep that boat from floating down the river. And by sharing this video is one of the first ways that you can help that. If you know people that need to hear this, would want to hear this, whatever, please share this video. And when you all get it, that somebody shared it with you, would you please subscribe? And would you please comment? And would you please give it a thumbs up? And would you please become a part of the efforts to save this country before it becomes unsavable? Okay. Remember, rebellion to tyrants is obedience to God. We don't want to have to rebel. We want to resist. We want to change it. These are available. If I didn't say this one and this other one, what? That's not the one. That's the same one. One Nation Under God. Washington and his Valley Forge pledge prayer. And let me see if I have time. Yeah, I can read on the back of this one. Let me read to you what it says. This is from his General Orders of November 27, 1779. You get that on the back of that mug. These are great ways also to spread the message. Buy one for yourself. Buy several. Buy it for your family. Buy them for friends. Give them as gifts. We'll print more. Trust me. And it gets the word out there. And on the back here, from Washington's General Orders. Whereas it becomes us humbly to approach the throne of Almighty God with gratitude and praise for the wonders which His goodness has wrought in conducting our forefathers to this western world, and above all, that He hath diffused the glorious light of His gospel, whereby through the merits of our gracious Redeemer we may become the heirs of His eternal glory. We are the heirs of the freedom that these people fought for. Are we going to give it up by doing nothing? Or are we going to stand up like we should and do everything we can? You all have a good day. Remember that America needs a reversion and needs you to be a part of it. And I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.